Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
That's right, away we go. Purple Access is the show. It's Zulgad. AJ Fredrickson producing today in for Ross Brendel, obviously on a long 4th of July weekend, but never taking a day off because he never rests. Our guy with the great hair. Forno Tyler works at the Sporting News, covers the Vikings, which, by the way, is the new writing home a sports dad as well. So you can find my stuff on occasion, but Tyler constantly updating the Vikings site at the Sporting News. His First and School podcast network. Check that out. It's great stuff on the Vikings. And so we have a full roster here today. And Forno, I want to start you off with a question I thought of last night, because you know what? I was at, a bookstore a couple of days ago because I'm old, sports dad, right? And I was, I bought Lindy's, old school. I bought Athlon, old school. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Vikings, pure disrespect. People are picking them to finish last. The national pundits. Now, the division's good, so I will say that. It's not a bad division at all, but the national pundits do not have any faith in this team. So, as we get set about 3 weeks from the start of training camp, I want to ask you a very simple question. What is your realistic expectation for the 2024 season for the Vikings?
Easy. Compete for a playoff spot. I think that's the only realistic expectation we can have here, because you have a massive change of quarterback, and however you want to slice it, Sam Darnold's a downgrade. But the one interesting thing about the Vikings that nobody's really talking about is they played pretty well across the board with having a massive downgraded quarterback last year after Kirk Cousins got hurt. Yeah, the record wasn't very good, and there were some things that, all right, if it swings here, then, maybe they even win less games, or they could have won more based on a lot of different factors. But I really think Sam Darnold's going to be fine in this offense. I think how Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Ofemensah have things structured, they are going to thrive. And I think the amount of respect given to them is a little bit unfair, but it's also the Minnesota Vikings. They've been dealing with this pretty much my entire life. They're not a major market team. They're not a darling like the Green Bay Packers have been over the course of the last 30 years. So they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt in a lot of ways. And having Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson as weapons with Aaron Jones in the backfield, two bookend tackles, and a defensive coordinator that took essentially a plate of garbage and turned it into a charcuterie board. We got
love a good charcuterie board, by the way.
Yeah, we got to give him credit, but it's just not. And you know what? Sometimes with national analysts, and we've talked about this, Judd, they don't have the bandwidth to go in depth on all 32 teams. They just don't. And there's going to be a lot of nuance and context mixed, and that's where it's on us to kind of fill in those gaps, because our job is covering this team on a year-round basis. And I think they're around the 16th to 18th best team in the National Football League, a fringe playoff contender. I still think they're going to end up with about 7 or 8 wins, but in December, they're going to be playing meaningful football. And that's obviously barring injuries. We're projecting forward, but I do think that this team can be really good, and they're getting a little bit disrespected.
I think that you bring up what I've struggled with, which is this. The quarterback is not going to be as good as Kirk was, but Kirk, to your point from before, also got hurt. So yes, the most important position in sports is probably not going to be as good. But that being said, the supporting cast is still really damn good. So that's where I struggle a little bit here to say, oh, they're going to be terrible. They're not going to win any games, because one, if you look at what Darnold and or McCarthy might have to throw to, it's pretty damn good. That's assuming Hawkinson comes back, within 4 to 6 games, and it's TJ from before.
Yeah.
But Aaron Jones, upgrade. And the thing too is, I do think with the quarterback being probably less of a, how can I put this nicely, less relied upon necessarily, because Kirk knew the system, and O'Connell, we can talk about Kirk all we want. O'Connell trusted him. I think the run game is going to become more important. I think, and I talked about this with Dex today on the primary show, I think if you look at Aaron Jones' ability to catch the ball, that becomes intriguing. My question then is, does the screen game improve? Because if you look at the 2 years with O'Connell, the run game has at times been non-existent. And that goes back to Dalvin Cook in 2022 at times. And the screen game has been abysmal. And then to switch sides of the football, I'm not saying that the defense is great, but I think overall, personnel-wise, the defense is improved. Like, I think Flores did a great job. Hunter's a marvelous player. He'll be missed, okay? But they arguably have more depth now at the rush ends. Defensive tackle, still a question. The linebackers might be improved. And Pace was a pleasant surprise as a rookie. We don't know on the corners yet. Up for debate. The safeties we know are good. So my point is, outside of the quarterback, I'm hard-pressed, pardon my French, to say this team sucks.
I can't go far as to say this team sucks.
Right.
And I think one of the really frustrating parts about the conversation, like, let's focus on the defense. The defensive line is bad. Well, guess what the defensive line was last year, Judd? Bad. Yes. And it was the 13th ranked defense, 17th ranked scoring defense after being absolutely abysmal with a better unit in 2022. And Brian Flores is great at figuring things out, calling the defense and making the most out of his resources. And he got more resources this year. He's got his safety room back. He's got a little bit more talent at corner. He's got improvement at linebacker. Blake Cashman is going to be a very, very versatile piece in this defense because he can play all three downs and he can cover. He can blitz. He can play in the run game. He can tackle in the open field. That kind of versatility is going to be huge. Like, he's not Fred Warner, but he's versatile in a similar way where you can trust him to do a lot of different things. So I think that part's being underrated because people are just looking at this roster and be like, man, this roster, it's not very good. Right. And I don't think that's very fair because of how Flores maximized things on defense. If you can have the 16th ranked defense, just 16th or even 20th, that's a massive win for kind of where this Vikings team is at. And if you can score 24, 25 points a game, that might be a little high for what this team is, but there's talent to do it. And if Darnold takes off like everybody kind of thinks he might, and how they've been talking about him inside the building, like, I give this team a little bit of credit and respect. Like, the Bears, everybody thinks that they're just going to run away with at least third place. They're starting a rookie quarterback.
Yes.
Their offensive line is still subpar, but we're not talking about that because, they got Romo Dunze and Caleb Williams in the top 10.
Right.
There's like a 30% chance one of them busts, if not higher, because that's just the nature of the NFL draft as a whole.
Correct.
Like, we're already assuming those guys are going to be great from the jump, and that's just not a likely situation. So you look at all things considered, the Vikings need a little bit more respect and credit for what they did last year as you project forward this year.
And Caleb, look, CJ Stroud is not the norm, right? Caleb might be a star eventually. He might be good. He might be really good. But this notion that he's going to step in week one and just slay, he's a generational talent. Well, generational talents can still struggle. I mean, Peyton had a terrible rookie year as far as picks went, right? As far as his stats went. And he is a Hall of Fame, unbelievable QB. But I'm with you. First of all, I think the Bears, and I'm not saying that the Bears aren't doing this right. I think that I like a lot of what they've done, but this immediate success thing, I think is way over people's skis on that one. Let me ask you what you said about Darnold, because I'd like to quantify this. I've been really, as camp approaches, I've been really struggling with him as far as how to contextualize him, okay? So, Forno, when you say take off, like with O'Connell doing the best that he possibly can and putting Darnold, who's now more mature, in a position to succeed, what is your definition of taking off? Like, because we're not projecting him to be a star now, but like, what would be, to remove all past prejudices and not compare him to Kirk, when you say take off, what do you think?
Geno Smith in 2022, Baker Mayfield 2023. Like, I think that's the realistic situation if you're talking about taking off, where you come in, that you're maligned as a starter. And I mean, Geno Smith was a second-round pick, and then his career kind of ended when he got punched in the locker room by Ike and McPolly, which was also
Look at you with that recall.
Yeah.
I remember he got punched. I couldn't have told you the guy's name if I could pronounce it.
Well, I remember it because the Jets cut him, and then he signed with Rex Ryan the next week, and they played the Jets week 1 with the Buffalo Bills. So Brilliant. I always found that funny. Brilliant. But Baker kind of got run out of town for toughing through a labrum injury and struggling at playing through it. And then they got Deshaun Watson. He had that really weird 2022 where he was with the Panthers.
Yep.
And then he got moved over to the Los Angeles Rams. And McVay kind of helped him. And he goes to the Bucs on a really inexpensive kind of prove it deal. He proves it. And he almost beat the Detroit Lions in the NFC divisional round and got a big deal, well-deserved. And I think if Darnold's going to come out of that shell, because he was a 3rd overall pick for a reason. Mel Kiper still talks about how he was like the 3rd highest graded quarterback ever for what Mel Kiper's been doing this since the 70s. So I highly disagree with that. I didn't even think he was a top 3 quarterback in his own class. I had him at 4 in that 2018 group behind Baker, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. But he can take a step forward, and situation matters. We talk about draft prospects a lot. He went to the Jets, who are a dysfunctional mess, and then he gets stuck with Adam Gase for 2 years. Then he goes to the Panthers, who are a dysfunctional mess.
Correct.
And he kind of got a rehab year with the San Francisco 49ers, and now he walks in with the best wide receiver in football, an emerging star on the other side, a top 5 tight end, a running back who's top 10 in all the underlying metrics, and 2 bookend tackles, and an emerging star as a play caller. It's going to happen, it's going to happen now. If it doesn't happen, Darnold's cooked. And I think that there's probably going to be somewhere in between. I think he's going to end up with, like, if he starts all year, you're talking like 3,700 passing yards, like maybe 28 touchdowns, 12 or 13 picks. Not sexy numbers, but good.
Yep.
And he makes the Vikings a viable offensive team to make a playoff run. And if he does that, I'm really intrigued to see what kind of contract he can get in free agency. Is he going to get a mid-range deal? Because I think mid-range contracts might be coming back with quarterbacks, Judd.
I hope so.
Like Geno Smith, 3 years, $75 million.
Yep.
Like, would you rather pay Geno Smith or would you rather pay Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow? $30 million is a significant amount of money, and you're not talking a massive drop-off either. Yep. So very intrigued to see what happens. I've already talked about on my show, if Darnold's really, really good, do they maybe try to bring him back for one more year?
I don't.
I don't think I would.
I'm not going
to
burn through. The Packers thing at times gets too much credit because what people don't take into account is they burn through those contracts.
I'm not even talking the Packers. We're talking 2004 Chargers, Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers. Because before Drew Brees became a Hall of Famer, Drew Brees was an average starting quarterback, and then he took off in 2004. They brought him back in 2005 despite essentially the 1st overall pick in Phillip Rivers waiting in the wings because Brees was really good. It's a different league now. But I do think there's an outside chance he stays if he's really good because you just don't say no to a quarterback. You can't.
If that begins to materialize, that's a great talker because then there's questions about is McCarthy developing as well. But here's where I completely agree with you. And look, Darnold's had problems with picks and he still might so I'm not absolving him by any means. But here's where I agree with you. And here's where I can draw at least a squiggly line between Baker Mayfield and Darnold. And it's this. So Baker gets let go and leaves the Panthers and goes to who? Sean McVay and the Rams. Now, it's my opinion, if you have any talent, going to the Rams, whether you play or not, is quarterback osmosis, right? Like all of a sudden you're in rooms where you have some of the smartest people. McVay is a genius. So you have all of these, and if you have talent, I think it's going to, if you care, and I think Mayfield does, it rubs off, right? So in Darnold's case, where I am so curious to see, because I do agree. I mean, the Jets are hell. Like that's football quarterback hell. And then the Panthers, you're right, dysfunctional mess. But then you don't play much, but you go to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, right? And all of a sudden you're put back in a quarterback room that's full of ideas and is probably super creative and is a breath of fresh air. And now you get O'Connell, doesn't run the same system, but again, a guy who takes a real interest and has an environment that is beneficial. So just trying to draw a little bit of a line there to piggyback off of what you're saying. That's the one thing I'm curious is like, one, how much did Darnold simply learn through the power of observations and practice? And two, could it be a case where a light bulb, even if he wasn't playing much, did go on because it had to be so refreshing to get away from these dysfunctional teams that are just a mess from the top down?
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to turn out, Judd, but I want to see it. I want to see a talented player like Darnold, because even during his destructive years, I'm just going to call it destructive years, he flashed. And like some of the throws he made in his one start in San Francisco, he's like rolling out to his left and then not quite Air McNair style, but flips his hips and throws it like slightly across his body. We're not talking like a heavy degree, maybe like 15 degrees, where it's just slightly to the right and hits a guy, and then they take it for some yards after the catch. Like, he can do some pretty bonkers stuff. And I want to see what a guy who can put it all together can, like, we're kind of saying the same things, but it's fascinating because you don't get guys who get third chances. And I think quarterbacks sometimes need that time to develop, because development's real. It happens. Look at Geno Smith. Maybe he's the next Geno. Who knows? Yep. And if you can get Geno Smith kind of production out of Sam Darnold, guess what? It's only $10 million. That's a hell of a value.
And his career is revived then. Okay, last part of topic one. Early July. Do the Vikings finish in last place, do you think, in the NFC North?
No, I think it'll still be the Bears, because I don't have faith that they're going to be able to keep things with continuity. And Caleb Williams can scramble, and then he can make plays. It's different in the NFL with scramble drills than it is in college. It is way different. I think he's going to have a little bit of a wake-up call. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I don't think he's going to be bad, but I think people are overvaluing him as a rookie, and I think you're going to see struggles, because that Bears offensive line, Judd, spoiler alert, it's not that good.
Yeah. And they also still have, at the end of the day, a defensive coach. And I'm not sure if I have a quarterback that I'm going to put that much of a priority on. I'm not sure. And look, there have been some really great ones, so this is not to disparage them all. But in 2024, I think I want an offensive guy. I think I want a guy that understands everything that kid is going through. And the fact that they don't, I think, could cost them. I'm inclined to agree. I think it goes Detroit, Green Bay, the Vikings, and then the Bears. And it could be a flip-flop there at the top, but I'm still going to bank a bit on Detroit. All right, AJ, let's get to comments from YouTube.
You commented, we read it.
Is this a ransom note?
Now we're talking about it. It's Purple Access's comments from YouTube.
Fire away,
That's right.
Age.
All right, so we've got comment one here, and this is on in regards to Justin Jefferson from last week's Purple Access that had Chip Scoggins on. At Crawl, spelled with a K with 5 L's, very important. Wide receiver does not lead a team. He goes on to say, stop making us sound like fools. So off of this, is a wide receiver in the NFL excluded from being a team leader? Judd?
Tyler, you appear to be reddening as we talk, so I'll let you go first.
Anybody can be a team leader. I think the notion that a wide receiver can't be a team leader is bogus. It could be like a special teamer that's the team leader. That's the heart and soul of the team. It's based on the person, not the position. Would you prefer it to be quarterback? Sure. They are arguably the most pivotal part of your franchise. You're paying them the most in most cases, and they touch the ball every play on offense. But to say that a wide receiver can't be the leader of your football team, shut up.
I love
with all due respect, shut up.
I love this question, though, because this opens up a topic that I don't think we've discussed before much. And to me, having covered teams, it's incredibly intriguing. And it's this: football is not baseball, hockey, or basketball.
Yeah.
Football doesn't have one guy. Now, if your quarterback's an alpha, that's awesome. And yes, the media is all like, "Oh my God, Tom Brady, right? Joe Montana."
Yeah.
But the reality is this, and Forno, you've seen the exact same thing. First of all, each side of the ball has to have people that lead. Like if I'm the quarterback, I can't go in and tell the defense, "Hey, buck this thing up and play." They're going to tell me to get lost, and then I'm going to be thrown in a trash bin. I mean, the defense has its own mentality, right? Special teams, they're all, it's a team game, but they're all very separate. And so I'm with you. Do you want your QB to lead at the end of the day? Absolutely. But can he be the only guy on offense when you've got a guy like Jefferson who A, wants to lead, and B, more importantly, everybody gravitates to? Yes, he can lead too. But I think that we think of football like the rest of the team sports. And it's very different because of the fact that it's segmented. Like you've got your defensive guys, your offensive guys, your special teams guys. And so like the quarterback can't fire up. Now, on a Saturday night before a Sunday game, yes, the quarterback can get up and the team can rally around him. But this notion that there's somehow, I mean, the Vikings, it might seem goofy, but the Vikings have, I believe, 8 captains for a reason. You need a lot of people pulling on the same rope. So interesting question, but yeah, it's not like it's, oh, Justin Jefferson, who's, arguably the best at what he does. He can't lead because he's a receiver. The last thing too is receivers often don't lead because they're trying to get theirs. So good on Justin for not being like that at all, Age.
And the thing about that too is like what's the other side of the coin? He's tweeting cryptic messages about like possibly wanting to go somewhere else. I would rather have him attempting to be a leader than, tweeting hieroglyphics at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's just my opinion.
You got to take a shot at Stephon Diggs like that.
I didn't say any names. To comment number 2 on JJ McCarthy, Clinton Reisig says, this is the best situation for a quarterback since Randy Moss was on the team. So Forno, I'll lead off with you here. Is JJ McCarthy in the best situation of any 2024 rookie quarterback?
100% yes. I wrote about this back in October, how the Vikings were in a prime situation to nurture a young quarterback. Bookend tackles, 2 great weapons, one emerging really good one, and now you improve the running back situation with Aaron Jones, and you have a young, creative, and really good play caller. I think a lot of people would criticize the play calling last year, and I would fight back on him. Like, you're criticizing the execution. You're not criticizing the idea, and they're 2 different things. I'm talking about process. You're talking about results. The process is good. The results aren't always good. And you have to look at them from different perspectives, because if you have good process, well, this guy just screwed up. Okay, well, fix the guy screwing up. Guess what? The process is still good. It's still smart.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that Kevin O'Connell is a really good play caller. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But I'm really intrigued to see with a running game that theoretically he's going to trust a lot more, how he's going to handle that, or if he's just going to be Andy Reid and be like, throw.
Yeah, which means that you do have to have a screen game then. And if you do, that's an extension of the run game, basically. I think this is fantastic. And I will actually say this. I think JJ McCarthy not playing is part of what makes it a good situation. He's not being thrust in. He's not being expected to do something because, oh my God, the coach and GM are feeling the heat, right? So they're just going to have to play this kid. I actually think that the potential waiting plan is part of what makes it so good.
Yeah.
So yes, I think the environment here is really good. And that's the environment created by O'Connell. If you want to start to talk about the parts, yeah, they're not too bad. And the offensive line now, it might not be perfect, but it is a long ways away from where it was about 3 or 4 years ago. So anyway, yes, I think it's fantastic. And if you look, at like what Bryce Young had to endure, which was ridiculous, I think you can definitely see that if you're a young QB, and in McCarthy's case, the Vikings call your name, you're ecstatic.
All right, our final comment from YouTube here at DJ Souptown9499 says, Culpepper had little hands and fumbled all the time. Dude thought he was way better than he really was, and it cost the Vikings Randy Moss. Judd, I'm going to lead off with you here because I know you've done these rankings. I'm not sure how recently, but where does Dante Culpepper, with his tiny, wee bitty hands, rank all time for Vikings quarterbacks?
I think the last time I ranked these, and this was before Kirk left, so I will maintain, at least for now, I had him second. When Dante Culpepper was in his prime, there's a lot of reasons why he dropped off too. His tiny hands weren't among the biggest problems. Now he did fumble more than you would like to see because of that. But when he and Linehan were paired, the OC before Scott left. If you guys recall, that's when Culpepper put together arguably an MVP season in 2004, and Dante thrived. And that Dante, I mean, you go back and watch that season is damn impressive. That's not a fluke. And yes, Moss was good, but that wasn't all Moss. Dante was really good. And so the tiny hands were a problem on draft day, and we all talked about it, and it was sort of funny. But at the end of the day, I had him 4-0 ranked second. And I don't know, despite the fact that Kirk was here for an extended period of time and certainly put up counting stats, I don't know that I would change that. So I had Tarkington, Culpepper, if I recall.
Culpepper's number 2. I've been fighting that battle on Twitter for a couple years. I don't think people remember how good Culpepper actually was because everybody just goes and looks at the counting stats. If Peyton Manning doesn't throw 49 touchdowns in 04, Culpepper runs away with MVP.
Yeah.
He was so good, and he set records. Not only did he set the most total yards by a quarterback in NFL history, beating Dan Marino's 1984 season, because Marino had -7 rushing yards that year. Culpepper had over 5,100 total yards, 39 touchdowns, 9 picks. He essentially played about 6 or 7 games without Randy Moss because Moss did miss 5, but he also was partially injured or kind of like a decoy for a couple others. And he had his best year with Randy Moss essentially around just over half the time. Yep. So people look at Culpepper from a box score perspective, and they don't understand the things that he was dealing with. If you put Culpepper in today's offense, he outperforms Kirk Cousins. I don't think it's close because the Wilfs give the Vikings everything they need to succeed. All the assistant coaches, all the practice facility. The Vikings were in the dump of Winter Park. Red McCombs wasn't giving them anything. Guess what? The offensive coordinator left. Well, you don't get an extra coach. You got to figure it out. And you have to have Steve Loney coach O-line and the offense.
Yep.
Like, it was a different time. Culpepper had to deal with a lot more crap. An owner that did not want to spend. He just wanted to cash out. And you put him in today's NFL, I think if he stays healthy, Culpepper's probably a Hall of Famer.
And he also, and it's weird, if you look back now, the Vikings actually had, throughout their history, they have had really great skill position guys who were way ahead of their time, going back to Tarkington. Norm Van Brocklin, who was an MVP quarterback, who was the first coach of the Vikings, he hated Tarkington because he's like, "What? This guy scrambles around. I mean, what the hell is he doing? He should stand in the pocket like everyone does." That's 1961, and then go to Moss. I mean, Randy Moss broke the game, changed the game, right?
Absolutely.
Percy Harvin in 2009, transplant Percy Harvin as a rookie, and he was great. But I mean, put that skill now in today's game, he's a joystick. And so, like, if you look, the Vikings have had this, and, you know, kudos, because people thought Dennis Green was crazy when he used the 11th pick in 99 on Dante and then didn't play him, which, again, was very, very smart. People thought, what's he doing? He's got Cunningham coming off that great year. You know, Jeff George is coming. What are they doing? And the reality was, Dennis doesn't get, I don't think he was a great coach as far as a people person went, but as far as his understanding of personnel and use, he was, again, absolutely fantastic. And so, yeah, I think, you know, Cousins, I'm trying not to hate on Kirk. I think Kirk also put up counting stats in an era now where it's hard not to. Dante was doing things, and if you guys go back to 2000, don't forget too, Dante was built like a linebacker and would truck guys. Like guys were like, "I'll make the tackle." No, I won't because I'm on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dante had a unique skill set, and he improved as a quarterback. But when he started in 2000, he wasn't great yet, but he also absolutely annihilated guys. So yeah,
he held the NFL record at one point, that 04 season, for completion percentage.
Yeah. Yep. And I didn't personally, when I covered him in 05, he'd gotten pretty salty, didn't like his contract here. He knew he was playing for a cheap team. He had signed a contract, $100 million. It was worth like $10. And he'd gotten really salty about that. So he was not what I would consider a great teammate at that time. But like his talent, at least from 2000 to 2004, is hard to debate. And so hence I put him above Kirk. Age, your thoughts? Who's your second quarterback?
I feel like I grew up watching him, like that 2000 season that you're talking about. I was 3 years old. So, I mean, I remember for like preschool one year, I think I went as Halloween as Dante Culpepper. I had like the crappy plastic helmet, the Culpepper, we duct tape it on there, and it was 11 Culpepper. So, I mean, I can't put him above Kirk just because I have the nostalgia and frankly, the case in points that you guys have just made. All right. It's Kirk. So I know that he does not take that top spot though.
Fair enough.
No.
All right, let's close today's show with extra points.
These extra points never miss. It's Purple Access's extra points.
Orno, lead us off. What's your extra point?
This is a really good question because I don't really have a good one this week. I usually think about these all week, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to come out with a banger, but
It's okay. It's a slow time.
It's a very
and it
slow
doesn't have
time.
to be football. It's the 4th of July weekend. You can do whatever you want, as far as I'm concerned.
One of the best things you can do, and yeah, I'll take it this way: buy a Traeger or a pellets grill. All right, and start making smoked salsa.
Whoa! Hold on.
Whoa!
Yes.
What? Smoked salsa?
Yep.
Tell us more.
So I take the veggies, basically everything but the herbs. I quarter it or have it. I tossed it in chipotle olive oil, smoke it at 225 for 90 minutes, and then food processor with everything, and a smoked salsa. It's incredible.
This sounds really good.
I didn't know you had that in you, Forno.
Forno's a magician with the grill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I have a normal grill, a Blackstone, and a pellet grill. Let me tell you, it's life-changing to kind of use the smoker. Anything you can bake, AJ, you can smoke. Anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's a convection oven, basically. And it's incredible. I'm going to put on a pork butt for 18-ish hours here this afternoon so we can eat it tomorrow. I can't wait.
So when are you hosting the PD grill party?
We can organize it. I just need to talk to Phil about getting a nice little Hubbard check so I can get all the ingredients.
Absolutely.
You expense the meats, yeah.
Absolutely. The one thing is, Forno doesn't do anything half-ass. Like he's either
half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing.
You're all in or you're just out. So like you're a grill master, football master. I appreciate that. So, Age, what's your extra point?
With the past few weeks, maybe a month now, I've been watching a lot of soccer in this kind of downtime. You've had Copa America going on. You've had the Euros going on across the pond here. And I love football. I think it's a great TV game to watch. Like I've been to games in person, but I just, I enjoy sitting down, butt on the couch, drink in my hand, watching the Vikings.
Yeah.
I need them though to adapt and take a book out of what soccer does, where there is a longer continuation of no commercial breaks. Because you have the pregame show and that you have commercial breaks there and all this stuff.
Yep.
And granted, right now it's national team stuff, so nobody has like FedEx plastered across their chest. But when they are in the league, they have, the target symbol for like the local team here in Minnesota.
Sure.
But you have a 45-minute period plus a few extra minutes of uninterrupted. There's no breaks. It is strictly gameplay. And yes, you might be sitting there saying, well, AJ, soccer's boring. There's no. Guess what happens in all those commercial breaks? There's nothing going on in football games. Just because they're taking a break doesn't mean we also have to take a break. Put yourself above the capitalistic thing that the NFL wants to do by making billions of dollars every year. Sometimes it's okay to just watch the guys walk around and take a water break. Sometimes it's okay to just absorb the game, like watch what's happening away from the play. I need the NFL to take a page out of what soccer's doing and have less commercial breaks, just a little bit less, because it's getting to the point. I'm seeing stats every single season now where it's like the ratio of commercial time to actual ball in play time the ratio is insane. I need more strictly football film on my television.
Don't hold your breath.
Oh,
That's
no,
all
I won't.
have to say.
This
Go
is
to
not happening.
Minnetonka High School on Friday nights. There you go.
Yeah, exactly right.
There we go.
Minnetonka High School. That's my skippers. All right, I'm going to piggyback off what Age said. The Olympics are coming up. As Age said, we've got these other, soccer tournaments, the Copacabana, the whatever they call them. And here's what I want to say. Again, football has it right. You know what I love about this sport? There's no international competition, and here's why. I want my players focused on what they do. I want my players focused. So, like, if I play for the Vikings, I don't want. You know what? Coming up in December, we've got an international football tournament, and half the Vikings are going to go play for said team. Or, you know what? I know you're supposed to be on break right now, but in June we've got the football international tournament coming up. So you're going to go play in that where you're probably going to get hurt, and then you're not going to be prepared for your season. I love football because football just has one league, its league, right? You play on your team, and that's your life's work at that time. Mm-hmm. I am so tired. In soccer, guys leave teams all the time, their club team to go play the Olympics. Now, I think it's going to help him out, but like Ant's now going to go play for the U.S. team, and those are essentially playoff games, right? And then he's going to come back and go to training camp, and okay, let's get going for the Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. These people are humans. They need breaks. Their bodies need breaks. And I know football is extreme because you actually physically get beat up to hell. But all sports, you get beat up. And I like the fact that football, the focus is on one thing. Your team, you get paid to play for your team. And I don't really care if you represent your country or not. Not my problem. That's another reason why I like football.
But Judd, we do have a possible national emergency on our hands. I don't know how much you've been noticing this. I just found about this about a week ago. There's something called the International Federation of American Football, and there's currently a U20 World Championships happening. In the semifinals, Team USA lost to Team Japan by a score of 41-20.
Good.
2 days ago, they have the third place game against Austria. They fall again, 32-25 final.
Who's playing?
Nobody.
They clearly suck. They clearly suck. And you know what? This is a reason for the U.S. right now to get out of it altogether. Let those other countries that want to play their little football games, let them do that. We play pro football. We play Division I college. Other than that, I don't want you playing any other football. That's my rant.
Football's such a physical game. You can't add any more competition.
But I'm just so I'm so sick of, and look, the Olympics are a little different, but the basketball, it's June. Well, we've got a global tournament, and Rudy Gobert is going to go play for France, and he's 1,000 years old, so he'll probably get hurt, and then he won't be prepared to play for the Wolves, who pay him. The soccer thing drives me crazy. The MLS guys clear out like there's no tomorrow. Last time I checked, they're being paid by their MLS team. Pick what you want to play for. And look, if you don't play for your country, who cares? Like, are we really that? Oh my God, if you're not playing for the U.S., you're doing something wrong. We suck in soccer anyway.
Yeah, that Berhalter out. That's my comment.
Guys like Forno and I, we're meat and potatoes. That's what we want. We want football team. Your football team's your team.
Also, since you mentioned the Olympics, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I think they're overrated.
I don't like them at all.
Why is it that I need, like, why is it entertaining for me? Why is it supposed to be? Why do I need to, like, sit down and think that it's entertaining to watch who from whatever country can throw a stick the farthest? You know, like, who cares? Yeah, you're stronger. You know the aerodynamics and the angle and stuff. I get, you have these championships every year, but because it's every 4 years, suddenly who can sprint 100 meters the fastest? I have to sit down and watch this. I don't know.
Boo.
When I thought it was,
You guys are haters. Boo.
oh, I'm a definite one. You know why?
I don't care.
The Olympics, in my opinion, and I was wrong, but I was young and dumb, I thought were pure at one time. Now it's now it's professionals. It's got nothing to do with the NBA players all play, which one, I don't think is a great idea. And two, okay, what's the point? Like the US team is kicking teams' asses left and right. They might get a couple of decent games. Or I'm just done with it. I'm done with it. I'm with AJ. The
Listen,
Olympics passe.
There are very few things I enjoy more than watching in the Winter Olympics, the biathlon. I just love the cross-country skiing. And then, hey, your heart's beating a million miles an hour.
You know what?
Now get in a prone position and try and shoot a target.
Take your own advice that you gave to Age. Go to Egan and watch some people do that.
Yeah.
Take your own advice.
What a weird combination of things too. We're gonna go skiing, alpine skiing, and then hey, you better be accurate with a rifle. Like,
go up to Brainerd, Forno. You pick some time. I'm sure you could find someone crawling around on their belly shooting things. If that's what you want, get it off my TV.
The Olympics are fun.
I don't agree. No, they're not fun. They're run by the most corrupt people. It's professionals now, which is that. Let them do their own thing. You know what? Start the biathlon channel and show biathlon, and I won't subscribe to it.
It's also too long. It's like a month and a half. You could get everything done in a matter of 2 weeks.
How long is it?
Dog,
Really?
it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
The Olympics
it's
is
still too long.
like 16 days.
That's simply still too long. You could get that all done.
It used to be like 2 weeks, and now it's like 2.5 weeks, right?
Yeah, because I think it's 2 weeks of non-ceremony competition.
Oh, that's something else. That's something else. The opening ceremonies and the closing ceremonies. Are you serious?
I don't watch those. I think they stink.
We're going to light the flame. What, the corruption flame? People are all corrupt. It's like FIFA. It's the most corrupt thing.
Yeah.
Oh, or near and dear to Forno's heart, it's like the NC2A.
College football's coming back in less than 2 weeks, and I'm gonna cry when I start playing it for the first time.
And that's awesome, but I'm saying the NCAA is one of the most corrupt, untrustworthy, unnecessary, aside from the basketball tournament, which could be run by our dogs now. It's such a slam dunk. So anyway, all right, okay, we're done. Forno, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you soon. AJ, you did a fine job. Roscoe's out. You're in. We will see you soon.